It was a tight one, Rube, but the Eagles fall 27-24, 3-6 on the season. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Rube, we have a lot to get into after that game.
We do. It was one of those games where it kind of played out the way I thought it would. I thought it'd be a very close, hard-fought game, and I thought they'd lose, and all those things happened.
Yeah, we were both kind of on it. Your final score prediction ended up being pretty close. If the Chargers had scored a touchdown and kicked an extra point, you would have gotten that right.
Really?
Yeah, you had 31-24 and ended up being 27-24.
Do you get like an extra half point or something for that?
Pat on the back?
No, I just
all right, don't want that. All right, we want to talk about what this loss means for the team in general. Jalen Hurts ended up playing a pretty good game after some early miscues. The defense, not a ton of points, but certainly
too many.
Yeah, too many to win the game. We'll get into some of them, and then obviously the final drive. DeVonta Smith had a big game, and then Dave's positivity corner at the end. But you'll kind of see some of the positivity mix in here because this wasn't, as far as losses go, this wasn't a bad loss. We've seen them play really poorly, get embarrassed this year in losses. That wasn't this game. This was a winnable game, and maybe that makes it more frustrating because they probably could have won this, but I think you come away with it. There were some losses early in the season where you thought, this team is aimless. You didn't feel like that after this game.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I'm the last person to start talking about positives in a loss because the whole idea is to win games. But for this team and the position they're in and the way they lost to, the Cowboys and the Chiefs and the Buccaneers and the Raiders, to play a good team and the Chargers, I mean, they're 6-2 now. Mm-hmm. To play them down to the last, play them even for 59 minutes and 58 seconds. There were some positives, and I think the main thing is that this team is playing really hard. They're undermanned in a couple of areas. They're not good enough in a couple of areas, but man, they play hard, and they did. They played hard the whole game. They just came up a couple plays short, and playing hard and making plays are two different things. I think you can be not that talented and play hard all the time. You just might not be good enough to win a game like this, and I just thought the Chargers were just a little bit better. And yeah, they had chances, but ultimately, I think the better team won. Now, look, at home, you'd like to win a game like this, where
it ended up being a pick 'em. The line dropped.
The line dropped.
Yeah.
And I felt that way. I mean, I was waffling on my pick all week. I mean, I just thought it was going to be this kind of game, and I think it's more disappointing, certainly, to lose like this, more frustrating. But it's also, you didn't take anything encouraging out of those other losses.
Yeah.
Other than, really any of them.
Really, nothing. I mean, it was bleak after those losses.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to win this game. And you're 3-6 now, and we talked about the playoffs in the last pod. And I don't think this precludes them from still being in that mix. I mean, it makes games like next week in Denver obviously more important. After Denver, by the way, just crushed the Cowboys today.
Yeah.
That was surprising. But it makes games like that more important. In a weird way, they could afford to lose this game. It would help them if they won it. You're feeling a lot better if you're sitting
AFC team
at 4-5.
also doesn't hurt you in tiebreaker, so there's that. I felt like if they've got to win one out of these three, Denver Saints, Denver Broncos Saints, to get into that 5-game stretch that really is going to be their chance to write the season.
Yeah.
So they've got a couple more chances. All of a sudden, Denver. I don't know. I didn't see the game, but we were doing the pregame show. But
I was able to watch some of it. They played well.
Yeah,
Bridgewater played well.
It looked like Dak maybe wasn't quite ready to come back.
Yeah, he didn't. He was running kind of gingerly, and his receivers dropped some balls. Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, they didn't lose any ground in the division today. So there's that.
Yeah, that's true. Ultimately, this is a game where you'd probably like to see them win it, but there were some encouraging signs. The biggest one to me was Jalen Hurts. Drives them down the field to tie the game. I thought that was as good as I've seen him play.
The second half was probably Atlanta, he was really, really good. That seems like so long ago. Yeah. He did the things that I think the biggest thing for me was he used the middle of the field. I mean, he used the whole field, and he he stood in the pocket. Now, he ran 10 times, so it sounds silly to say, but I thought he stood in the pocket when it made sense to. He took off when it made sense to, and he delivered the ball down the field vertically. I mean, DeVonta had 5 catches, and they were, I think, 19, 19, 23, 27, and 28 yards, I think, something like that. He'd had only 3 catches of 19 or more yards in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good pass defense. And they're a little banged up at corner, but they're number 3 in the league in pass defense. So to make those plays was really encouraging to me, to stand in the pocket and look to throw first. It's got to be more than DeVonta, and that's the next thing. They got to figure out what they're going to do, with Rager and who can help them.
You weren't impressed with his 1 catch for -6 yards today?
I mean, he's making a run at Adrian Killens there as far as total yards. He's still 6 ahead of him for the day. But no, one step at a time. I thought, especially as DeVonta had some drops the last couple of weeks, and they just hadn't. I think he had 1 for 15 last week. They just haven't really connected. They haven't had any big plays. So DeVonta had a great game, made some really big time catches. But I just like the way that Jalen delivered him the ball in the middle of the field and down the field, and was looking to throw. And that's something. If he can't do that, he can't play in this league.
Yeah.
Or at least not as a full-time starting quarterback. So that was really encouraging to see. And, he's got a little something when the game is on the line. It's a shame he never got back on the field.
Yeah, that was my first question to him, what it was like to have to watch that. They just bled the clock out, and he didn't get a chance.
Yeah, and that's got to be a really frustrating thing, because late in games, he's got that something. He's got that ability, and I think part of it is just that I don't think he gets tired, and defenses get tired. So he's already got really good speed, but he's really tough to stop. He had that 1 3rd and long run where it looked like he was going to be short of the first down, and he basically did a flip over the defender.
Yeah, that's what I like about him as a runner in those situations, is that he's very good, obviously, most of the time at avoiding hits, but he knows when he has to take a hit in order to get a first down. He did that a couple times, and that was obviously the biggest example of it. Generally,
he knows where the sticks are.
Yeah, generally you don't want to see your quarterback flipping.
That's true.
After contact, but he needed that. They needed that in that moment, and he got it done. And look, I've been really critical at times of Jalen Hurts, because I think there are many throws that he doesn't make that NFL quarterbacks need to make, and there were at least one in this game where I felt like that. But I don't ever want to minimize what he can do with his legs, because that's special. Seeing Bosa run at him and knowing he has the speed to hit the edge and get around him. And by the way, I think at one point Chargers sent a 0 blitz at him. What are you doing? I mean, he's fast enough to get away from that. I would never blitz him like that. But those are special plays, and those are plays that not many guys in this league can make. And it doesn't excuse the misses that we've seen on some of the throws, but it's important that's part of him. That's part of what makes him who he is. So I never want to minimize that. And I thought that those plays in really the last 2 games came up huge for them.
Yeah, no question about it. But we know he can do that. We know he has that in his back pocket. The throwing part for me is what's going to make him or break him.
Yeah.
And he talked about the 2 throws in the first half that I think he only threw 9 passes, and was he 4 for 9? He had a nice 18-yarder to Dallas, but then he missed Dallas, and that was, he was under intense pressure there.
It was tough. He didn't have time to set on that, and he kind of heaved it up. It was close. That's a big play if they make it, though.
It's a huge play.
Yeah. And Dallas had a chance to catch it.
He did.
It would have been a tough catch.
Yeah.
But if Jalen can hit that throw in stride, that's a touchdown.
Sure. Oh, no question about it. The one to DeVonta in the end zone just before halftime, DeVonta took the blame for it, said he slipped a little bit, but I think he was just kind of
I didn't see. I'll have to go back and watch it. Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he stumbled a little bit, but that was, you got to hit that throw.
Yeah.
And it's I told you on our walk over here from the stadium, I tweeted that after the fact, and then once Jalen was playing well in the second half, some fans were like, "See, he's good. He plays well," but it doesn't. He still missed that throw, and that's in a game where you lose by a field goal. That's the difference.
Let me ask you a question. Part of me, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but part of me felt like they didn't throw enough tonight. And I know that's crazy because they ran the ball well.
They were running so well.
but not so well in the second half. Not as well.
Yeah.
But
I think the run clearly set up some of those throws of DeVonta in the second half.
There's no question. I mean, 11 for 17 for 162 yards. He was so good on the last couple drives. I'd like to see that kind of get going a little. There were some drives where he was just running it, and they were getting yards, but I can't believe I'm saying this.
It was kind of cool to see them mix up the personnel grouping. There was that one drive, there were like 13 personnel the whole way down the field.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They ran some 21, they ran 12, and when they ran 13, Quez Watkins was the only receiver on the field, I guess because they knew they had to honor the speed outside. I was okay with it. I don't know if long term it's like sustainable, but that might just have to be the recipe.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't this game because the Chargers can't stop the run.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm just throwing it out there. I kind of had that sense. For me, it's all about balance and being unpredictable. And I thought there were times where the Chargers were actually kind of, girding for the run, and they ran the ball into a wall there. But yeah, if that's my biggest complaint, that's kind of a weird one. I am encouraged that he has run it, and he has committed to it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and I thought he had some pretty good designs today too.
Yeah,
I thought Sirianni called a pretty good game. I know they only put up 24 points, but I was encouraged by what I saw from him.
The league average is 23.6, so right on the league average. Considering where they are and what they have, I'm okay with 24. I like that he mixed up the personnel as far as the running game as well. Boston had some good runs. He had 40 yards on 10 carries. Gainwell had the touchdown.
How funny is that to see like Kenny Gainwell vulture a touchdown from Jordan Howard? Like normally you would think, hey, what was Jordan's stat line in Miami? Like 3 of his whatever runs were like 1-yard touchdowns, and then he gets one vultured from him up here. It's kind of funny.
He had more yards today than he had all last year.
Mm-hmm. He's running hard. And this isn't on our script here, but they're going to have the decision to make. They've elevated him twice. They can't use another standard elevation on him. If someone ends up on COVID list, they can use the COVID elevation. Otherwise, they're going to have to find a roster spot for him and sign him to the active roster if they want him next week.
Yeah, and we don't know how serious the injuries are. We'll see. But, obviously Slay and Avonte Maddox, they're pretty decimated in the secondary.
I don't think either of those are IR injuries.
Maybe
Slay's a hamstring. Avonte's a knee, and he came back in the game.
Yeah, maybe J-Jaw. Although I saw him working out before the game, and he looked pretty. He was doing sprints. He looked with a trainer. He looked pretty good. So I don't know.
People are going to laugh at J-Jaw, but he plays special teams, and that's his role. And he's not a second-round pick worthy anymore, but he still has a role on the team.
Anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. But they're going to have to. They're going to have to get him on a 53.
Yeah, you would think so. I don't know who they cut, but they're going to have to figure something out. Jack Anderson, maybe.
Maybe.
Sua.
And then when Miles comes back in another week.
Yeah.
They have too much talent at running back. Can't believe I'm saying it, but they do. They have good running backs.
Overall, though, we kind of got off topic. I thought Jalen Hurts had a good game, and I appreciate how accountable he is. I know it might not mean much to people, but it's easy to see why his teammates like him so much. Because not only is he accountable, but, he gets, him going for that first down on third on that conversion. It's easy to see why his teammates like him so much.
There's nothing not to like about him except that he just misses guys sometimes.
Yeah.
And
guys that he can't miss.
He's got all the intangibles. Mm-hmm. He's got, the perfect attitude. He can run. He's everything is there. If he plays the way, I think I said this to you walking over, if he plays the way he did in the second half, I think it was 7 for 8 in the second half with a touchdown for 114, whatever, 90 yards, which is, and something like 6 carries for 40 yards. If he does that, if he plays the way he did in the second half, he's your quarterback.
Yeah.
Flat out your quarterback. Then there's the first half and missing a couple guys, so or at least one. So, every time I think, oh, he's the guy, then he has a really bad game. And every time I think, oh, he's just not the guy, then he has a good game. Yeah. So that's what this year's all about. And we have 8 more games to find out. And maybe we won't know when it's over. I said all offseason, we'll know. I will know. Maybe we won't.
Yeah, and I've the whole time being, I don't know if we'll know.
Yeah. Now I'm waffling, but there's a lot to like about him, and I was just really encouraged by. Now, they've got to get another wide receiver involved. It can't just be DeVonta, and they just really haven't since early in the year when Quez was catching some balls. He had, what do you have, 1 catch, 2 catches for 9 yards. They try to get him short stuff and get some yards. So all the receivers other than DeVonta had 3 catches for 3 yards, average of 1 yard per catch with a long of 7.
Yeah, not great.
So, and really that's been the case for a while. I mean, no other wide receivers had a big game since Quez did about a month ago. So they got to get more out of that position.
Yeah, totally fair.
Be interesting to see what grade you give the wide receivers since DeVonta.
It's a tough thing to figure out.
DeVonta had a big game, but the others didn't.
Yeah.
Hey, score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts you've come to expect from AAA. Get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For all the details, visit AAA.com/Eagles.
All right, let's flip to defense now. Another historically great performance from a quarterback against this defense. And at times it worked. At times they got off the field. But that last drive, over 6 minutes, they couldn't get off the field. 2 4th and shorts. They couldn't stop them. And then that big run by Eckler, a 16-yarder that made it a chip shot at the end of the game.
And they shut down Eckler all day, all night. Yeah.
It was a drive where you're watching it, and it just looked like you knew how it was going to end. The Chargers were just going to eat the clock and leave with a victory. And it felt like, if that drive happened in the second quarter, you're really happy with it. You held them to a field goal. But when a field goal wins the game at the end, you got to get off the field. They didn't do it. Now, they were down Slay, and I think Avante was off the field.
He was not. Yeah, it was
at the end of that game.
Sasha Ray and McPherson.
Yeah. So
McPherson's outside. He had never played on defense before.
Yeah.
Sasha Ray's played 20 snaps in his career. So,
it was tough, but
not an excuse. That's who you have. That's who you've chosen to keep on your 53.
So do you think Gannon was aggressive enough on that drive?
Yeah, I don't think Gannon was the problem in that drive. I just don't think they had the players to stop him.
Okay.
And,
I started thinking, and this is just me, I started thinking blitz him. Because if you get beat, and then you get the ball back at least. It felt like watching it, it was like, obviously you want to stop. That's number one. You want to stop. But if you don't get a stop, the one thing you can't do is let them wind down the clock and have a last-second field goal, and that's basically what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I thought
when Eckler broke free, I was thinking let him in.
It came down to the 2 4th downs to me, and they were both just really close. I mean, they're just really close plays, and they had held them on a couple 4th downs earlier, and they got them both by inches, and that was the difference in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they just didn't make. I thought TJ Edwards put it great. He said we played hard. We gave it everything we had. We didn't leave anything in the tank. We just didn't make a play, and that's what it was. And they made a bunch of plays through 3 quarters. And
on the previous drive, that Derek Barnett penalty,
that
neutral zone infraction, a 3rd and 6 into a 3rd and 1, they sneak it, and then they end up scoring a touchdown. Man, that's brutal. I actually thought he played well in this game before that.
Yeah, he had a couple pressures. I think he had a tackle for loss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's inexcusable. And they're always in big situations. I mean, because a 3rd and 6, you like your chances there.
Oh, yeah.
3rd and 1, I mean, it was a 3rd and short, too. So it had to be a 3rd and 5.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as you see somebody breaking through the line, you just know who it is. And
it's always him.
4 penalties this year, 1 sack. He had a sack last week, and he did play better. But God,
and I pointed it out because at times we kill him, and when he makes plays, I want to point it out because I thought before that penalty, I thought he was playing a decent game. But man, you just can't have it.
No, you just can't. Just no discipline, and it just keeps happening over and over. That was killer. They have been able to cut down the penalties, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But
that was the Chargers' penultimate drive, right?
Yeah,
that's a touchdown, and then they bled the clock and
right.
Kicked the field goal.
Yeah, no sacks for the 3rd time in 4 weeks.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I asked Nick Sirianni why his line didn't get home. And I'm paraphrasing, but he brought up the coverage. I thought that was interesting because, yes, Herbert's getting the ball out quickly, but he's getting the ball out quickly in part because of the coverage, right? You're allowing him to get the ball out quickly. I don't know if he meant it to be critical of Gannon and the scheme, but it came off a little bit like that to me.
Yeah, I just think they're just not playing well enough. Man, Keenan Allen had 12 catches.
Yeah, on 13
even...
targets.
Wow.
That was big when they lost DeVonta for a while because he does so much damage in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
He's a really good player.
He is. And
that Mike Williams catch down the field, that throw from Herbert was
incredible coverage. It was perfect coverage. I don't know what else Slay could have done.
Could have gotten his head around.
But, I mean, he was right there.
Yeah.
That was an incredible throw. And it was beautifully designed, too, the way, I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway, the stat on Herbert, Eagles have now allowed 5 quarterbacks to complete 80% of their passes. That with 8 games left, they've tied the NFL record.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers also allowed 5 quarterbacks to complete 80%. Here's another one. In Eagles history, only 2 quarterbacks have completed 84% or more of their passes and attempted 30 passes, both in the last 15 days.
Yeah.
Derek Carr and Justin Herbert.
Yeah. And a lot of it's by design.
A lot of it is by design. And if you're getting stops on 4th down and 3rd down, it's
and they were.
Yeah.
Early in the game, they had that goal line stand after they marched 98 yards down the field. They got off the field. Then there was another turnover on downs. But when they needed it at the end of the game, they couldn't get it.
Yeah. And it's look, on the one hand, yes, they're out there with Andre Sachere and Zach McPherson, but somebody can still make a play. There's plenty of guys out there who can make a play, and nobody did. And the defense to me, the offense to me has underachieved. The defense to me just doesn't have the players. I wouldn't give Gannon better than a D, but I still think that the root of the problem is they don't have guys.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
And I think they
cleared up a little bit of the problem by getting Eric Wilson out of here and getting TJ Edwards in there more. He did have one missed tackle, but I thought he played pretty solid. He had that big stop on 3rd down.
TJ played really well, I thought, and has the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Davion had, like we talked about with Davion, he's going to have hits and misses. He had some good plays. He had some bad plays.
Yes,
I think that's what we're going to see from him because he's so raw. But I think if you're Eagles, you kind of have to live with that.
Yeah, for now. I didn't see a whole lot of Fletcher. Actually,
I thought Fletcher had a decent game.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not see him. I was trying to watch him as much as I could. I didn't see him double teamed once. They gave him 3 tackles.
He had a TFL.
No, he did not.
He didn't?
Not officially.
Oh.
Javon Hargrave's been quiet since that hot start. I don't think he's played bad.
Yeah, I think he's seeing a little bit more come his way.
I think that's probably true.
Josh Sweat had a quiet game. He got banged up, too.
Yeah, he came off the field. That was a really physical game, I thought.
Ryan Kerrigan had a great game.
He did?
No.
I did see him out there for a snap late. So I'm out there
Every time I see Ryan Kerrigan, he's running off the field.
He can't play. There's a guy you could cut, make room for Jordan Howard.
Not a bad idea.
I think I wrote that in my 10 obs like week 3. I wrote like just cut him. I said he's not going to survive the season. But defensively just not good enough. No interceptions, no sacks. Again.
Yeah, I mean you need to make plays. If this is the defense you're going to play, you got to make plays. They need to make plays. Not enough.
At Nissan, we just made your choice for a new car, an easier one than ever, and an easier one than ever for Dave, who just bought a Nissan.
I did.
With our most exciting and fuel-efficient lineup. The choice is yours. Now get great offers across our full line. Shop your local Nissan store today at nissanusa.com.
Let's talk about DeVonta Smith because we mentioned him and a really good game, 5 catches on 6 targets, 116 yards, and a touchdown. We think he probably could have had another touchdown. I want to go back and watch that play.
Yeah.
And I might have to wait for the film to be out. I don't know if we'll see his route on the game tape or on the broadcast version, but Anyway, it was a really good game from him after a really tough week. If you guys don't realize, he considers Henry Ruggs his best friend. They were roommates at Alabama. They talk daily, and they have even talked this week. Henry Ruggs was in that horrific incident. A young lady lost her life. He was charged with DUI, and he's probably facing jail time. He's already been cut by the Raiders. And DeVonta Smith clearly not the victim in this. There's someone who lost her life, but it had to be a tough week for him. That's a lot to go through.
Yeah, and after the game was the first time we've talked to him since that incident in Nevada. And, he talked about how once he was on the field, he was able to focus on the game and everything. And it was interesting that he's talked to Henry. And, you got to, in a way, it's kind of like it's almost – I don't know. It's almost you feel inappropriate even kind of having sympathy for DeVonta, but you put yourself in his position. That's his best friend who, was involved in this. He wasn't involved in it. His best friend was. So he's dealing with his best friend going through that, and that's totally valid. I don't think it takes away from. I think all of us can put ourselves in those shoes and think about what it would be like, and it's not an easy thing at all. And he's handled it well. And he's 22? 22-year-old kid going through this. 23?
Might have turned 23.
Might have turned 20, something like that. Tom, look that up. And he's already under. He's already got all this pressure of trying to live up to being a top 10 pick. And trying to be the young stud.
Turns 23 in a week.
22. I thought he was 22.
Yeah. November 14th.
Thank you, Tom. My birthday's the 16th, so we can maybe have a party together.
There you go.
But yeah, I thought he showed a lot of composure talking about it, and it's probably not even an easy thing to talk about, to sit up there in front of 50 media and talk about your best friend going through this and dealing with this. And he, the first thing he said was that his thoughts are with, the woman and her family who lost her life, which, you appreciate him saying that, because that's the main thing here. But can't be easy. And it couldn't have been easy to go out there and play. He talked about how much his teammates supported him and were there for him throughout the week, and that made it easier to come to work and focus on practice and football. And he went out and had, I think, the best game. He had another 100-yard game. I don't know if he had more yards tonight, but I liked the fact I thought he made tough catches. He made catches down the field. That's what I really liked.
You know what he's really good at? Those sideline catches.
Yeah.
He has such a great feel of where he is on the field. He has good court awareness.
I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this, but you know who he reminds me of with the sideline catches is Mike Quick.
Okay.
Just that graceful, just that graceful, that smoothness on the sideline.
I'll ask Mike about that.
Yeah. Mike used to do that. Mike was the best I've ever seen at that. And he was like, Mike's body would be like 5 feet out of bounds, and he'd catch the ball and his feet. You look down, his feet are somehow in bounds. Tap tap, and he was the best I've ever seen at that. But DeVonta's got a little of that in him, just that grace that he plays with. And he's so smooth, but he's tough. Mm-hmm. He's tough. He had that one catch in traffic. I think it was that second. He had like back to back, like a 23 and a 19.
It seems like that's happened quite a few times this year with him. We'll just start feeding him. And you go, where's this been?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I thought that was the best thing to come out of this game was seeing DeVonta. What did he have in the first half? Did he only have that one catch, the one like 19-yarder? You got your first half stats handy?
I can get them handy.
First half. This is good radio right here, as they say. First half, DeVonta was he was 1 for 27. So in the second half, he was 4 for 87.
Is that right?
No, 4 for 85.
You know how long it would have taken me to do that?
Yeah.
116 minus 27.
I got it wrong.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to – but I don't know
89,
that.
Yeah.
89. Yeah, that makes
4 for 89. Yeah. So, but, yeah, he was – gosh, we haven't seen homegrown wide receiver play like we saw in the second half from DeVonta in a long time.
From DeVonta in a long time?
Yeah. that we saw from DeVonta in a long
Yeah.
time. And they just got to get Quez or somebody else involved.
Anybody.
It's not going to be Rager. I mean, I've given up. I'm flat out giving up on him.
Yeah.
They don't even send him down the field anymore.
No.
I mean, they have Hightower up. I don't know. I mean, Hightower had those 2 long catches early last year. I just don't know. I mean, you can't. I still think Quez is pretty good.
I do too. But they're clearly game planning for 88 and 6 right now. That's what they're coming into each game thinking.
Right.
We got to get these 2 guys the ball, and they should. That should be the plan.
Again, there are just not that many balls to go around. I mean, they've completed 18 passes in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So there's just not a lot of passes.
All right, let's wrap this pod up with, and we've kind of done it throughout, but Dave's Positivity Corner. We'll just ping pong it back and forth here. Give me something, Rube.
Well, we mentioned Jordan Howard, but I just to put him in perspective, I mean, he thought his career was over in the spring, and he talked to us about that when he signed here. And he really signed here he didn't have any chance to make the team, and he got cut. He got cut by the Dolphins last year. I mean, he hasn't played in 2 years and thought his career was over at 26. This is a former Pro Bowler. And to go in the practice squad and kind of just totally abandon your ego, and run scout team. And, imagine you're like, I'm sure there's a moment you're out there like, I was in Hawaii in a Pro Bowl, and I'm running scout team for the Eagles right now. There's got to be a moment where you're like, what the hell, where's my career going? But from all accounts, and we haven't talked to him, I don't think, have we?
Yeah, I was really hoping we'd talk to him after this game.
Yeah, we haven't talked to him since this year, since training camp. And he's not a big talker either. He's not, but he had to have those moments where of self-doubt, but he stayed positive, he stayed motivated, he stayed in shape. Nick said he was, if he's going to run scout team, he's going to run the best scout team he could. And, 12 for 60 last week, 17 for 71, 3 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah.
He's really good. And, yeah, like we said earlier, they've got to find a way to get him on the 53.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm going to kind of stick in the same vein and say Nick Sirianni sticking with the run. I know it's easier in this game because the Chargers are the worst rush defense in the league, so the big test will come later and see if he sticks with it. But I think we see the formula, and maybe it doesn't need to be this heavy on the run, but they've used the run now to set up the pass the last 2 weeks, and that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
That's kind of the limitations of what they have, and that's fine. I think it helps this team. It helps the offensive line get rolling when they're moving forward, and it might not make the owner happy, but if it starts winning games, that's all that really matters.
And I think some of that's overrated, too, that whole Lurie doesn't want him to run the ball. I think Lurie believes that you win in the NFL by having a high-powered offense, a high-powered passing offense. And I think when he's looking for a coach, he's looking for a coach that shares that vision. That doesn't mean there can't be games where you run the ball 40 times.
Right.
I don't think he minds that. I think he just believes that the direction the NFL is going is a high-powered passing game. But to get back to Dave's Positivity Corner, I'm going to give you, despite that last drive, despite the fact that Chargers scored 27 points, I'm going to give you Zach McPherson and Andre Sachre, because these are 2 kids that have never played defense before, and they were some pretty high leverage situations. And Sachre actually had a great play on that 4th down.
Yeah, him and TJ on that tackle?
Yeah, but I think he was there first, and TJ finished it. On that 4th down, I think it was the catch, the Keenan Allen, I believe it was a short Keenan Allen catch. Yeah. So that, and he, and then Zach McPherson's a 4th-round rookie who's never played on defense, and I didn't see any huge, screw-ups from him. So, you need some of these young D-backs, and it's not a lot. I mean, it's not like one of them had a pick 6 or something, but at least they got out there, they got to run around, and they didn't embarrass themselves. So I'll give them that, because there's going to be some changes at cornerback with this team over the next couple of years, and they've got to find themselves some young corners who can play.
Yeah. I'll give you one more. Aaron Siposs, that punt was beautiful. Down him at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
That's a big tool for this team.
Yeah.
Especially when, look, the offense isn't a juggernaut, so sometimes you're going to have to play field position games, and he seems to have a real great knack of putting that spin on it, that it hits and it goes sideways.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And that was a huge play. And that was McPherson, actually, who downed
Right.
that. Earlier this season, on a similar one, we saw him fly into the end zone recklessly.
Yeah.
He settled in, and he downed the ball. It was a big play. Now, the ensuing drive went 98 yards before a stop, but it was still encouraging to see, because I think they're going to need that going forward based on what this team just is right now. And I like Siposs. I think there's something there.
Oh yeah, oh he's good. I was telling you before, I was on the field before the game, getting ready to do my pregame hit with Michael Barkan, and they set off fireworks. I was walking actually right under the goalpost, and he was right to my right. And he was about to hit a punt, and as soon as his foot hit the ball, they set fireworks off.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it sounded like,
Yeah.
like one of the photographers was like, "Did it just sound like he hit?" Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I'll give you one more.
Sure.
I thought Landon Dickerson had some, and I don't know consistently how well he would grade out, and there was a lot of pressure at times on Jalen, but he opened up some good holes in the run game.
He did.
And I think if pass blocking might be a work in progress, but I think he's already a pretty good run blocker.
He's settled in
Yeah.
to that left guard spot. It was a rough go at the beginning for him on the right side of the line, and even in his first game or two on the left. But I feel like he's settled in. He's played a little bit better. He got banged up in this game, but he still toughed it out. And
that's the thing you worry about with him because of his history.
Yeah.
I mean, he started 6 games, I think, now. So 7 games, I
Is that
think.
right?
Yeah, 7 games, I think. So, yeah, that's encouraging.
All right, let's wrap it up on that note. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like and subscribe button there. That's it. We'll be back with you later in the week. We'll start to turn the page to Denver. This has been Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We'll talk to you soon.